The Great Gatsby, a heartwarming story about the ultra-rich. Being the absolute worst and one man's embarrassingly pathetic obsession? The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald's ultimate cautionary tale about why you should never, ever, ever simp this hard for a woman who doesn't care about you. If you love stories about horrible rich people drinking too much, making appallingly bad choices, and leaving a trail of destruction behind them like sociopathic toddlers, this book is your jam. Our dead inside narrator, Nick Carraway, is just a quiet Midwestern guy who moves to the soul-crushing cesspool of Long Island in the 1920s, hoping to start a boring, stable life. Instead, he immediately gets sucked into the ridiculous, self-absorbed soap opera of the rich and useless. His new neighbor, Jay Gatsby, a sketchy millionaire with one personality trait, being completely obsessed with a woman he hasn't spoken to in 5 years. That woman, Daisy Buchanan, a delicate, simpering airhead who is basically a human bottle of expensive perfume with nothing inside. She's married to Tom Buchanan, a bloated sack of old money and racism in a polo shirt who has 2 hobbies: being violently insecure and cheating on his wife, both of which he does while making sure everyone knows how great he is. Tom is the kind of guy who gets caught red-handed with a mistress and still finds a way to be outraged that someone might be doing the same to him. But Gatsby, in his infinite delusion, believes that if he just throws enough tacky, over-the-top parties, Daisy will come running back to him. He buys a mansion right across the bay from her house and spends every night longingly staring at a green light like a stray dog begging for scraps. His entire life is one big, expensive thirst trap, and it's honestly embarrassing. Nick, being too spineless to say no to insane people, sets up a little reunion between Gatsby and Daisy, where Gatsby practically vibrates with nervous desperation. And surprise, surprise, Daisy is totally into him because, wow, he's rich now. What a turn of events. They start having an affair so blatant that even Tom, king of cheating, notices. This leads to a catastrophic train wreck of a confrontation in a Manhattan hotel, where Gatsby, in peak delusional form, demands that Daisy say she never loved Tom. And this is where things go from embarrassing to straight-up tragic because Daisy, spineless, empty-headed Daisy, crumbles under pressure and completely bails on Gatsby, as if anyone with an actual brain didn't see that coming. Tom, despite being an absolute pile of human garbage, wins. Gatsby, despite literally building his entire existence around Daisy, loses. But it's not over yet, because Daisy, the absolute menace that she is, immediately follows this up by running over Tom's mistress, Myrtle Wilson, with Gatsby's car. And Gatsby, still deep in his one-man fantasy novel, takes the blame for it. Yes, this man, who spent his entire life clawing his way out of poverty just to impress a woman who can't even make up her mind for 5 minutes, decides, sure, I'll go down for her hit-and-run homicide. So, what happens next? Myrtle's husband, George Wilson, aka the only poor person in this book who isn't a clown, goes full revenge mode, tracks Gatsby down, and shoots him dead in his own pool. And just like that, Gatsby, the man who scammed and hustled his way to the top, who built his entire life around one useless, vapid woman, is left floating face down in the water, alone, like an overpriced pool toy. And Daisy, that absolute monster, she and Tom skip town without a second thought, proving once and for all that rich people never face consequences. And the funeral, nobody shows up except Nick and Gatsby's estranged dad. That's right, all those friends who mooched off Gatsby's parties, all those fancy guests who drank his booze and wrecked his house, they're gone. Turns out Gatsby spent his life trying to impress a bunch of rich sociopaths who wouldn't spit on his corpse if it was on fire. So, let's go over what we learned. First of all, never move to Long Island. 2, if you're rich, you can literally commit murder and nothing will happen to you. Thirdly, if a guy won't shut up about a green light across the bay, cut him out of your life immediately. And finally, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy a bunch of fake-o friends who will forget you exist the second you stop throwing parties. Let's all just face it, the American dream is a scam, and this book is here to remind you of that. And there you have it, friends. The Great Gatsby, the story of a man who bet everything on a woman who didn't even bother to text him back. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to like and subscribe so you don't miss any updates. See you next time.